This week's Preppin Data is another click-only challenge, and so I'm going to build the workflow as we go. It's also probably going to end up split into two parts because there are two outputs. So for this one, we're going to be looking at the different devices that people are using to watch Netflix. So we've got some survey data here, and it's classically a little bit messy. So if we take a look at it, then we can see that if we're just looking at the name column, for instance, then we can see that most people have one row, which is good, that's what we'd expect, until we come to Timmy, who has answered the survey twice. And not only that, she's entered exactly the same information twice, meaning that when we come to look at the ratings, if we're treating everyone equally, then she'll get double the opinion, if you kind of follow what I'm trying to say there. So basically, we only want there to be one row per person. So the easiest way that I can think to do that, although there are many different ways, is to get rid of this timestamp field because we're not really going to use it in our analysis, and we're going to add an aggregate step. So we're going to just group everything together. So if we add everything to the aggregation, then you can see that we've only got 11 rows, which is good because we've got 11 people. And we can see that Timmy's now only got one row. The only issue that we're going to run into is where Timmy has rated a show. Here in the other column, her score has been doubled. So we basically just need to make sure we go and change this aggregation here from being a sum to being a group by. And that means that all of the data that's being brought through is sort of the way that we want it to be. The only other thing we want to do is get rid of this number of rows step here. So remove that because we don't care that Timmy had answered it twice. So that's dealt with that issue quite nicely. Now we're going to be moving on to thinking about those devices. So because from this aggregation step, we're only going to be caring about the devices, I'm just going to do a quick bit of cleanup and get rid of all the extra columns that we don't need. So we'll just get rid of all these extra ones. Whoops! Don't just quickly click on it because apparently it tries to make it tries to do the same row 1,000 times. Okay, interesting. So I think those are all the rows that we're going the columns that we're going to need here. Yeah. Oh, we don't even need to know what they've been watching, so we'll get rid of that one too. We only care about the people and the devices. So if we have a look at the devices, then they're a little bit messy. Some people have misinterpreted the question completely. We've got Netflix, which isn't a good answer to the question at all. And some people have put multiple devices in one field. So first of all, we're just going to do some splitting. We can see that some of them, like the phone, comma, TV, that's split up by a comma. And this TV and iPad has a nice and symbol. So we're just going to do a little bit of splitting on a comma, first of all, to split those up. And then on this one here, we'll do the and sign. So we'll just do that as well and make sure that we've selected all. Did I do that for the first one? Yes, I did. And then just get rid of this field here that we've split up again and this initial field that we split on, so that now we've got all our devices sort of split out. This column here we can see isn't useful at all because etc. isn't a device and the rest is all blank, so we'll get rid of those. And then we'll just pivot it so we have all of our devices in one column. So we'll do a wildcard search here and we'll use the term split because all of these columns will have split in them to find the devices. Great, we don't need this one anymore. We can exclude all of the blanks because that's just where we've done our splitting. So we exclude that. And now we're kind of getting closer to our clean list of devices. But it would be really helpful if we knew what was expected for them. So luckily we have another input we can bring in, which is called devices, which just tells us basically the list of acceptable device names. So if we join this on, so we're going to add our join clause, it's going to be the pivot one values and the device. Then we see that out of those 11 rows, we've got 9 coming back, which is good. Sorry, we've pivoted, so there's more than that. There's 13 rows. Sorry. So yeah, we're getting 9 out of the 13 come back, so that's good. They're matching up in a way that we want them to, but we can see stuff like Netflix, on my phone, and all these other ones that aren't really devices. We're not getting those through, but we want to classify these devices as other, so that the information isn't lost. So basically we want these bits of information to come through and be labelled as other. So how can we do that? So we basically just want this bit here. So if we do another join of the same together, we create that join clause again. And then rather than having just the inner join, we kind of just want the bits, everything except for the inner join, basically there. And then we can just rename this device here. If I go to another clean step, we can just rename this to be other. And then we have our device type. So that's great. And then we can just union these columns back together to get all our data in one flow. We can get rid of the table names, we can get rid of the messier pivot 1 values, and then we've got our devices as what we want for our output. So all we need to do now is do an aggregation so that we can group by the device and count the names, and that is now matching what we hope for in our first output. So hopefully that's been useful, and come back for the second output. Thanks.